President Trump has proclaimed America open for business. At this week's State of the Union, he went further to applaud an improving economy and rising stock market. We thought we'd borrow the question of another president, Ronald Reagan, and ask economist Peter Morici, are we better off than a year ago? What has been, would you say, the reality of the economy under President Trump's first year?
Well, the economy has done quite well. Part of it is just distance from the financial crisis, final healing, but also part of it's deregulation and anticipation of the tax cuts. America is open for business again. Washington is no longer an oppressive force on the neck of American commerce. What
would you say are the big surprises?
The big surprises are how effective he's been at deregulation, very quietly but effectively, at moving conservatives into the federal bench so that the courts are not now a third chamber of the legislature, and getting the tax cut done. Goodness, that was real magic.
Would you say the tax cut was the biggest accomplishment of his first year related to the economy?
We've averaged 3% growth since he became president. That's something Barack Obama simply couldn't do.
President Obama gave a speech not long ago in which it appeared he was thanking himself for some of the good things that have happened to the economy.
We saw the U.S. economy grow consistently. We saw the longest streak of job creation in American history by far, a streak that still continues, by the way. Thanks, Obama.
Isn't there some truth to that? Some things that we do with the economy takes time before it kicks in. It's not an immediate effect.
President Obama was president for 8 years. We averaged 1.7% growth. His last year in office was one of the worst years that we had during the recovery. It's very hard for me to fathom the notion that somehow that he was responsible for the resurrection of American productivity that took place once Donald Trump told American business, hey, guess what? Washington isn't going to hassle you night and day. The most significant thing that's happening right now is the regulators are actually taking lunch and summer vacations.
When you look at maybe something that wasn't accomplished related to the economy, what would you say is President Trump's most epic fail, if there is one?
Healthcare, healthcare, healthcare. It's a terrible burden on American business and on American families. We spend 50% more on healthcare than the Germans do, and the Germans have a better system. Frankly, we have to fix that, and neither Presidents Trump nor Obama found a way.
Am I correct that you are not a big fan of some of the proposals in President Trump and Congress's tax plan?
Well, I like the fact that we're cutting the corporate tax, but I think that we should have gone much further. We should have had border tax adjustments and gotten rid of most of the exclusions and exemptions, gotten the rate down to 15%. On the personal tax side, we could have gone much further, but chose not to. For example, you know, the Wall Street types, and look at the White House. Mr. Cohn, Mr. Mnuchin, Mr. Trump all benefit from the carried interest, and it's still there. If there was ever self-dealing, that was it. Trump deserves an A on the corporate tax and a D- on personal taxes because he put his own personal interests first.
What do you think are going to be the biggest economic challenges during President Trump's year two?
Well, now comes the hard stuff. It's as hard as cutting taxes is. Doing something about entitlements so people have more incentive to work is even tougher because he needs Democrats to cooperate in the Senate on that, and that's not likely. I think that Mr. Trump has put himself in a hole by being so pugnacious, combative, and tweeting so much and irritating so many people. He makes it difficult, now that the economy is growing and performing, for Democrats to come off the bench and start to meet him halfway. Frankly, the elections in Alabama and Virginia indicate that obstructionism is a winning strategy for Democrats.
President Trump recently went to Southeast Asia, and he has made the economic situation with China a focus of some of his attention. What would you say, where are we headed on that? A lot of people say China is one of our biggest challenges.
China is one of our biggest challenges, and the administration is coming up short. You know, targeting aluminum and a few other sectors to fix doesn't solve the systemic problem that we have with China. The trade deficit was big when he came into office, and it's even bigger now. If there's one single barrier to 4% growth, it's China, China, China. And on that, President Trump comes up short, short, short. He's badly advised by octogenarians. He simply doesn't see the future.
Last month, President Trump imposed tariffs on U.S. imports of solar panels and washing machines. China is the largest supplier of solar panels to the U.S. Some suggest it could be the first shot in a trade war with China.